We spoke earlier with Professor Fadhel Kaboub, president of the Global Institute for Sustainable Prosperity based in Nairobi, Kenya. He started by telling us why such meetings are important for the continent.
Italy is interested in this relationship with Africa primarily because of the migrant flow that is overwhelming Italy as it's the gateway to Europe from the Mediterranean. There's a recent study by the World Bank that estimates that by 2050, which is the day after tomorrow on the climate calendar, by 2050, there'll be 216 million people displaced because of climate events globally. Half of that number, more than 100 million people, will be displaced on this continent because of climate events. So even if a small fraction of that number decides to cross the Mediterranean into Europe, that would completely overwhelm Italy and the rest of Europe. So Italy wants to address the root causes of this migration crisis. And we have to give them credit for this. So they're trying to figure out a way to address the economic transformation that is needed on the continent to address the root causes. Unfortunately, their analysis is misguided, and it looks like they're about to reproduce the same structural deficiencies that we've had on this continent from colonial times and post-colonial times, despite the fact that Italy makes it very clear and explicit that they're not interested in predatory relationships with Africa. They use the term predatory, so they don't use the term colonial. But when you look at the source of our external debt in Africa, it's three major deficiencies. One is food deficits. We import 85% of our food, according to UNCTAD. Two, energy deficits, and that includes even our biggest energy exporters like Angola, Nigeria, Libya, the biggest oil exporters on the continent. They're energy poor. They import their gasoline, kerosene, and other petrochemicals. Manufacturing base that allows us to escape the bottom of the global value chain. And unfortunately, over the last 2 days, what we've heard from the Italy-Africa summit is that none of these are priorities on anybody's agenda, not on Italy's agenda, and unfortunately not on the African continent's agenda. So what is going to happen is going to be more extractive investments to prioritize energy security for Europe, more extractive investments that will lock Africa at the bottom of the global value chain in terms of manufacturing, and unfortunately more investments that will prioritize cash crop exports rather than core crop production for the continent. So Italy is simply playing a role in a broader global north strategy for Africa. As a matter of fact, this Italy-Africa summit, if you remember, was tested on Tunisia a few months ago as part of an Italian attempt to come to the rescue of the Tunisian economy after Tunisia was unable to sign a deal, an agreement with the IMF. And the design of this Italy-Africa summit is essentially the same as the design that was proposed to Tunisia, which is help to police the border, deepening the trade relationships between Tunisia and Europe, which perpetuates the same trade relationships, and most importantly, extractive investments in renewables to export green electricity to Italy, but also to the rest of Europe.